the agenda, which is the parks update, which is really important. So Brianna and Dave, you're welcome to join us. Just noting apologies from Cody and Nicola King. We're going to a conference in Rotorua. Following this workshop, we will break away into just a hui that we're going to have around communication and stuff. So go offline after that. Are we recording this today?
Yeah. So you can say
No.
I think I can hear it.
It's not live stream, but it's recorded for later reflection. Floor is yours, Dave, Brianna.
Afternoon, everyone. How are you all? Good? Yeah, good. Hey, kia ora, Kathy. Hey, just before we kick off, I thought it just this may be for benefit for anyone watching the recording, any member of the public. So, and you guys probably know this, but so just a little bit about the parks team. So we're a team of 45. Okay? Includes planning staff, contract delivery staff, and a whole lot of field delivery staff. We're largely contract-based council, meaning we deliver our services mainly through the stuff that we keep in-house in the parks team are the sort of custodian, people that do the work stuff in the mornings, get up early, and then the internal central city gardeners. Yeah. We're not structured geographically, Wānaka, Queenstown. We're more functionally split, so we're plenty team just operate right over things. So our work priorities are in a district sense, not ward sense. Yeah. So that's just a little bit of context. And then some of those things might make, why I'm saying that might make sense when we get to some of the items later on.
Yeah. Is the funding ward based or is it district based?
And the LTP, yeah, it is ward. It is set out ward based. You know, so we have lines for Clutha and Wānaka.
I think he means the rating allocation, the rating, and I think community service us is generally district wide rating.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant
how it's funded as opposed to how it's allocated.
Yeah. That would, yeah,
That's right.
So I thought we'll just kick off with the first item. It's just we've got a few parks projects. You guys have been sort of over top of this, but I'll just talk. There's a couple of key things we want to get to tell you today. So just in terms of the Wānaka Lakefront pathway, stage 4, okay, the pathway. So the design, we're basically closing on design. It's, you can say it's complete. Okay, well, it's a bit of internal approvals to happen, but that's not for you to worry about. That's us. Okay, and we're aiming for a construction timeline of about March 2027. Okay, so we'll be going out to tender very shortly on that. Yeah. So we'll have to think about things like the Easter break and the Christmas break and just work all that out, you know, as we go along. But I guess the key thing is that's the time frame we're aiming for.
Are you able to circulate that design?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely, no problem for you. Yeah. So you guys saw the concept plan quite a number of months ago, a long time ago. Yeah. So. Nikki?
I don't have any questions, but just one. In doing that design, who did we talk to locally in terms of stakeholders in the community? And I'm thinking specifically with the environment portfolio hat on, you know, as the community board member. Did we talk to why about that? I had just noted some discussions in the background about hard services. I don't know what the design looks like. I don't know if that's an issue, but
Yeah, we talked with Wai very early on in the process. One of the key things for them is the water flow off the car park aspect. The pathway is pretty innocuous compared to when we go and do like stage 4 reimagination there. So they're concerned about with the buses parking, all the cars park is on a hard service, and then that runoff from stormwater then just goes straight into the lake. So they're very big around, as you know, stormwater retention and those sorts of things. So they were involved. So when we sort of said, hey, have you got some views around pathway, they gravitated towards broader stage 4 redevelopment, which it just hold fire. And then Kat also sent a very detailed email last night around all these ideas that they've got. And they're talking to Heart of Wānaka around there. So I think they are operating in the right space for that.
that's great. Thank you.
And I think we've talked to a couple of those businesses down there. We've been kind of working with them about their future and where they might go and what they're doing and that sort of thing. So there's separate papers coming to you about that.
Dave, when you say businesses, do you mean the license holders on the lakefront?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, Lakeland Adventures, yes, I was trying to do it, yeah. Let's probably think about where their future is, because that part will have an impact on that. That pathway will have an impact on them.
Yes.
Yeah. Next one I was just going to talk about is rubber jetty replacement. So I guess the key thing there is we've got a timeline of construction around February 2028. Might help if I put my glasses on. So this morning we've had a feasibility workshop. Brian has just attended that. So the purpose of that feasibility is just understanding all the constraints that are actually down the lane. And so what we want to do is go from a basic design and then understand all the step changes that might impact cost. You know, if you go X wide, it's going to cost if you go X out, you know, the depth and all those sorts of things. So I don't think
So then, yeah, we'll bring that back to you in September, and that's where we'll get you to make the decision on all those step changes, so that then we can understand from there to take that to a consultant to carry out the design based on the depth, the length, the width, connection, etc. And any other like formation like stairs and pontoons. So we'll bring all that back in September.
So there's a couple of things around that. When the first circulated that February 2028, I sort of thought that didn't feel very ambitious to me. I sort of felt very safe. Is there quite a lot of contingency in that? Is it seasonally based, or what? You know, we sort of, yeah. My immediate reaction was, oh, that's a long time away.
No, I don't think there was. I don't think there's a lot of contingency built in. I think it was just looking at through how can we do what's a suitable time frame to deliver it. No.
Is there any way we can bring that into 27? I mean, is there anything if we sort of said let's rather than sort of say it'll take as long as it takes, if we said, hey, we'd love it to be in place for Christmas 2027, is there, if we change our mindset, could we change the time?
Why don't we come answer that question when we break in September, because we'll have a bit of understanding from the feasibility.
Yeah, if we don't make it so complicated or whatever, possibly that does. Let's do that. If we could just do that and sort of based on what we find out from this early investigation, if we'd love it to be in place for our for our community and visitors to enjoy. You know, 2020, yeah, the start of sort of October, November, December 27. It'd be great to be in place.
Yeah, so what do we now? It's essentially 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
August, September, October, November. I'd say it's 17 months, but
yeah, I mean, the other is you'd need to have a look at the water levels too, because obviously it's going to be easier to build it at lower water levels, presumably. So,
why don't we? I don't think we ever real fixed on that, but when we come back in September, I think we'll just have a bit of a discussion around that.
The other things too, if we are then, so with the current jetty, I remember in Hawea and we signed off the investment to keep it live. Or was P&I, did that, is the remediation they did that, was that, I thought there was always sort of like 12 months. Do we then have to then ask if, or is that going to be fit for purpose relatively until the new jetty's built?
They said for 2 years plus, and that was, so it was aligning to this.
Oh, actually, yeah, so that's actually a good
so
point.
I think it was this, because they couldn't do the structural work underneath, but the surfacing will look really new on top, so it will actually look like it's all been revamped, but for over 2 years they said it will last. So
I think that would probably set our timeline as well. We were thinking about how long the replacement, you know, so.
I was going to ask that, because if we were going to have to then, if it was last for a year, we're going to have to spend another 20 or 30 grand again to
No,
so it's like the
and then the time frame, that's, I think once we get through that feasibility and then understand the next steps with procurement and design, we could just have a look at that time frame.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. I want to let Brian talk about stage 6.
Yeah, so stage 6, we've just got the scope ready to go out in the next week to get a landscape architect there to pull together a concept of what was discussed at the board meeting, and we're looking to come back to you November or December to the board with that concept, which would then go to detailed design, just to make sure that everyone is on the right track in terms of expectations and what we'd all discussed.
are we doing a detailed design or a concept plan?
The first one will just be that concept to make sure everything's in place, and then they'll be engaged to go to detail so that any elements can be then put through. We're putting funding in the LTP now.
Is there a consultation phase and like a community consultation phase at all? I'm just thinking, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud about the toilets, for instance, and we've got this money for paid toilets, and we've got this tension of going, is that something is actually useful? And it might be a mechanism to engage on that, actually, to consult on that, to say, do you want paid toilets? Because I think pay-per-use toilets, because I think it's a legitimate question we need to answer somehow in that location. And equally, we need to identify a location, which regardless of whether they're paid or unpaid.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to discuss that. Yeah, where they will be. So, I don't know. Before consultation.
Like we do consult on development plans. We're not moving too much with it. Like from where the feedback is currently, there's no major changes to the site. It's more enhancements. So
I think we should pause that conversation until you come back with the concept design. Because I think once we see the concept design, because I think we're in this position that if it is such a big change and so substantive that it requires consultation, then we've missed the brief, because the whole brief was we don't want to be doing something. We didn't want to spend a whole lot of money. So I think it will naturally fall into the bit that this is enhancement, alignment, a couple of new things, and it should be something that we should just lead with. If we do say, so again, I think it's going to answer itself. But we don't need to decide that until we get this concept.
And taking the user pays out of the toilet, there may be only some sites that are actually physically suitable, so it may be more that it's limited.
User pays toilets in Tiamo failed miserably. They were abandoned as user pays, and the ones at Tekapo and Twizel are a nightmare.
Before we go down that rabbit hole, we've got just so you guys probably don't, we're just organising a workshop for council and Wānaka Community Board. We're trying to tie it in. It'll be September, so we want to come back and have a specific conversation about that.
Locations.
Locations and just the whole IVL one. So it's that whole locations, the concept of user paid toilets, the IVL funding. So there's a workshop. We're trying to work that out now.
So just before we move on from that slide, I just congratulate you guys on. Did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. These were priorities for the community board. We socialised those in December last year. You've picked up with them and you're putting the resources, and we do really appreciate that. Feel free to have that rub off on some of your other colleagues and teams. But I think this is exactly.
I appreciate that.
This is collaboration, and you've just making this happen, and it's all very calm and it's staged. It's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. That's what we wanted to do. Is we're trying to convey. We've got some delivery timeframes in there. I know they might move when we get down the pathway and we encounter obstacles, but you can see where we're looking at here. Okay, thank you. Just want to move on to some more just general stuff. Mount Iron's pretty topical, and obviously in Wānaka. So just some couple of things. We've got a Mount Iron tidy of the four-wheel drive track. Does everyone know what I mean by that? One that comes around from Hidden Hills and winds its way up.
The one we walked up.
Yeah. So that's well, I've got late 2026 here, but I was talking to the team. We're talking sort of August, September, late August, September-ish. Okay, we're expecting that work to take about 3 or 4 weeks. That's just to tidy up to make it more usable.
What do you actually mean?
Just give it a bit of a spring clean, make it more usable. So because when Wānaka want to go in there and start working on the trails, and if we want to do any work, it just means it's usable. We're not talking anything significant. So that'll take about 3 or 4 weeks that we're anticipating. After that, they'll move on to upgrading the track. I think what you were asking about yesterday, from L&B Pace all the way around to Race Course Road. And that'll include that section, down form section between actually in front of the woolshed. Yeah. Does everyone know what I mean? Yeah. So we're not looking to go up further up the mountain. We're just going to have a look at budgets and things like that first. We need to confirm a few things. So it's just in that focus here, and then I'll pick up that work that you've been talking about.
So where are we? So August.
So
what do you mean by late? So in November or something, maybe?
Yeah, if all going well, So like I say, it'll so maybe November. Over November.
So when you said pick up other stuff that Quentin's been talking about.
Quentin's just talked about there's a bit of flooding coming off the track and coming into the L&B car.
Oh, yeah, it's shocking. It's just a field of work. Yeah, but it's coming from right at the top. It just channels us all the way down.
They're doing some temporary work to try and intervene it.
So we're going to try and it'll go. As you're going up Mount Iron, there's the first switchback. It won't go that high, but what I mean is we'll we'll try and address that L&B place work, and then we'll have to look at the rest of Mount Iron later on in the year when we get.
The track it starts really close to the top, believe it or not. You think it just starts on that chute, but it actually, I followed it all down one day. So it is actually, the catchment is right near the top of where the seat is, almost, where the stile used to be. It almost starts there, comes all the way down.
Yeah, runs straight through.
And then comes into sits where the dog
So
drink fountain is.
once we sort of work out budgets and work priorities, we'll have to come back and look at that upper part. But I haven't got that at the moment.
Can I just clarify then, so that you're talking about here, the section that was used for a long time then got closed between L&B and the underpass?
Yeah.
So all of that will be, okay,
Yeah.
and then all the way around to racecourse.
And the rest will be resurfaced.
Yeah.
I think it's the shaping of that bit, so scraping and then gravelling or presumably.
Yeah, to talk about this and pooling and then having those sections, so we'll form all out and go all the way through. Yeah.
And that's been a priority for the Tracks Trust too, which is good.
Sorry.
This was one heads up for that. There was a meeting last night between Wānaka, Active Transport, up to the Tracks Trust and Mount Iron Junction, because Mount Iron Junction fast track process is contingent on access issues.
Yeah.
Access issues has been active transport issues. There was a big discussion there last night. There is a small possibility that the access might duck back into the reserve and use that section between the underpass and where we closed off the Freedom Camping.
Right. Okay.
That stretch there. Okay. There is a chance that a conceptual design for pathway ducks back into the reserve.
Okay.
I've been pushing for the pathway to continue down on the road reserve through the trees and pops out at the underpass.
Yeah.
So it's just a general heads up, nothing at the moment, but that within the next 2 weeks, I think there will be clarity on whether the developer will be putting some money to solve that problem, and where the desire line is, as I said, purely on road reserve, say highway road reserve, which we don't need to worry about, or if there is smaller chance that it makes far more sense to come into the reserve, there may actually be a section of that track that you're looking at remediating that may, that we might have just a bit more use there, just that one small section. So that's just a heads up. But I'll let you know when
understanding some of that, so across that,
I think even if we, it's renewal level work, it's not a big, so even if we, even if it's re-gravel and it takes 2 years to get the other, 3 years to get the other thing in place, I'm not.
That's a very fair comment.
Super comfortable that we just proceed with the renewal.
That's
good header.
I'm trying to derail it, but just to sort of understand that that's fresh off that there's just be aware of it.
What was that meeting you said was last night? Was
it's just an official. The fast track panel required the applicant in Junction to solve a couple of problems, start trying to align themselves with some community groups here to get the buy-in to be able to go back to fast track. And I say, we'll put this money forward, it'll solve this problem, and our requirement will be met by doing it.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Probably one that might be of interest, because we signed off the trials plan. By Wānaka, they've applied for the resource consent for stage 1. So we're just waiting on them to do their thing. Apparently they have to, I'm not quite 100% sure, but I think they might be liaising with Ewing around that. So anyway, what I'm telling you is they put it in. We're sitting waiting for that to just happen, and then when it comes out the other end, we'll start working with that team about those trails. The other thing I wanted to mention about there's no other recreation groups progressing anything on the trails plan at the moment. It's all gone a bit quiet, but there has been a few other things happening. So we've got a few requests, and Brian will go into detail. There was one on around use for watershed.
So a group that is an umbrella group for 6 other groups looking at using the watershed for like education purposes and environmental purposes, but we don't have any formal application yet, so we're just discussing options there with them.
Sorry, Brian, what group is that?
Who's the lead group on that one?
So Nature Ed Wānaka is a lead umbrella group, and then they have 6 groups underneath them, which I don't have the list of the 6 groups, but
it's the group of folks who've been advocating for outdoor education
So it's focused on environmental education for local kids. Yeah. No, we don't have any formal proposal, but it's just informal discussions.
I mean, what is the policy? I mean, it's going to be interesting because also the Trails Trust have talked about Southern Trails using it as the trailhead for the route that goes all the way down to Cromwell, crossing over the Mataoa a couple of times. I mean, what's going to be, is it first and first served for this?
I attended a meeting on site with that group.
The education.
Yeah, and it seemed from what they're proposing, the trailhead proposal wouldn't involve much other than some signage and information. So I didn't seem to be incompatible.
But there's potential that they could actually join.
Yeah.
So, but what is the policy? I mean, is it going to be? Sounds like a good idea to bring it. And then, yeah, if it makes sense, let's do it.
Yeah, we like I said, we haven't really got a formal proposal yet, so it's like just a discussion and explore. So, and that will be the same thing with the proposal about the trails here. We haven't got a formal proposal, so we're kind of just having discussions. Yeah.
Once we get one, we have to sit against the RMP to see where that lies and then bring that back.
The best way to look after something is to have it loved. So,
yeah, I guess the point there is they're not asking for anything commercial.
I think community uses are good.
Yeah.
And then the second one was the Ferrata. So we got a formal application. We had been in informal discussions with them about having something up on Mount Iron with the local Wānaka branch, and that would be non-commercial and similar to ones up near Nelson there in Takaka. Yeah, Takaka. Yeah.
So I was just thinking about that this week when I saw that Takaka Hill one. There was a film at the film festival about it. It was really cool.
Yeah.
So is it around the back?
Yeah,
of Mount Iron? Yeah, where they do the climbing anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can share more as we work through that proposal.
It'll be interesting to see, but I haven't looked at the proposal and just got it. But it'd be interesting to whether it's going to cause any conflict with climbers. I mean,
I think they're great to work it. So from what I've been told as well, Wānaka Climbing Club and the group are working together. So that they're aligned. Yeah.
Very good.
That's so cool.
Just some other things. Well, we got the blue-green network approved in May, but I was just going to mention some things around Wānaka that might be of interest to you.
Yes,
just before we go off Mount Iron, I just actually ran into Arne as well from the Wild Inquiries group, and he was just talking about the work that they've got, broadband plans and whatever, and obviously through the grants and things where they want to do some aerial spraying or targeted spraying of certain things, and they've got some more work around wildlife removals and stuff. So
Mount Iron itself, right. Interesting.
So yeah, there's some good stuff going on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure, and they're working with the various parts with different parts of council.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wheat and cherry, I think, with the aerial trials. Yeah.
So do you want to just talk about this?
Sorry, I was going to say it is really good to hear just who is approaching you and when it's happening, because it's good for us to basically assess the impact of our approval of the conceptual trails plan.
It's true.
Yeah. So, because it's so much chatter about it, and then it kind of suddenly goes quiet. But of course, there are, and there should be conversations always happening in the background, but we don't necessarily hear about them much. I mean, I guess we have to tell you if they come to us, and it's great to hear them from you. So thank you for that.
We'll just mention the things that blue-green network.
Yeah, so the blue-green network that was approved in May, and now we're just looking to the LTP and to put some projects in there, so that needs to go through the council process. But what we're looking at the moment, because all the maps for the blue-green network are static maps, so looking at getting them online so that they can be interactive and easily available to anyone through the QLBC mapping system. That's one of the projects. And then the other one was looking at Bullock Creek, Stony Creek, and the Cadrona Valley, looking at putting some money in to get an assessment to understand the state of what they are now and what we could do for enhancement or improvements in any of those areas. So we're looking at putting funding in for that within the long-term plan for the next 3 years.
I think John's on, but the Track Trust have got plans through there. So.
Yeah.
And
also
trails. Yeah, okay, better talk.
And also
Well, it's just from Hook, Helen's Hook up to Little Griffin initially. And we've obviously, already done up to the Hook and more work there, but right up through to Valentine Road and beyond. We've gone so far to get consent for that, haven't you?
We've got consent.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting for easements with Lynn's, which council parks are now working with the trust on.
Kat sent out an email maybe a week ago, just advising you. Did you guys might have hopefully read it? We're just going to kick off the Wānaka skate park license.
Yes.
Been a project for a while.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that sort of looking at August, September installation. Okay, so communications have gone out to the various people, that sort of thing. So we kicked a bit of good news this morning. We got 45k from the Central Lakes Trust.
I've got to that. Excellent.
Just got that message just this morning. So thank you.
It was just on Monday.
Yeah. So it was a good bit of news. It just ties together with all that project. Yes. I think Kat's been liaising. She's on holiday at the moment, by the way, but she's liaising with Ollie and that, and I think they're pretty happy about it. Looking forward to it.
I was, of course, an abstention in the meeting about it. I was in the meeting an abstention because they noted my conflict of interest. Because they noted, of course, I was a very keen skateboarder.
Oh, it's just that was the conflict. It's like, I'm going to be down there all the
They
time.
were worried about me breaking the lights would be a really good idea.
Yeah, look,
Cody's the only one who's telling
must have been. I won't be making use of the lights, that's for sure. Just another little FYI, Wānaka and Forest Heights tracks. Does everyone know where I'm talking about? One that winds its way up Wānaka.
From Albury Road.
Kiramoko, sorry. Kiramoko and Forest Heights around the back of Sticky Forest. So things. Why I mentioned those timeframes earlier, Mount Iron, is that work will take place after all that work at Mount Iron's completed. So thinking about those timelines, maybe November, December, January, just depending on how things work. So
They're just upgrading, just where some
resurfacing,
where the waters carve some channels out. Yep.
yeah,
I think, and I've been chatting to Adrian about this one too, but hopefully there's some opportunities just to tidy up some of the grades and stuff there as much as you can within the scope of the easements and stuff like that.
Yes.
For them.
yeah,
Unoptimal, let's say.
yeah. Like some of them have got a few sharp turns.
Yeah, Steve done various things. So, and I mean, it's amazing what you can do with a bit of creative track work just to take the edge out of things.
It's getting a little confusing over there too, because there are some informal paths through the developments themselves that are kind of coming to what, the actual council pathways, and then
They're actually
informal
formal.
and formal. Yeah. So I was just out there yesterday and sort of just trying to piece together I didn't even know where some of them had come from, because the developers have worked some of them in, but it's then it's not clear, well, what are we, how are users meant to kind of encounter? I mean, of course you can encounter them any way you want, really, and that's fine. But is there?
It does come back to wayfinding again. There's lots of access through to that, which if you don't know they're there, sometimes they're a little hard to come across. It just needs a little bit of sign saying footpath to.
Most
at
of
some
them
point,
are actually formal, like they're actually being vested through the individual subdivisions, so they are legal easements or reserves, access reserves. But I mean, I think it's good because you want permeability into the green space and the track network. But it is
What do you mean on the climb?
I'm meaning on the developments, the newest developments that are all at the edges of the council maintained pathway.
Like Clearview and stuff.
Clearview, I don't even know the name. It's hard to keep track. I mean, Wānaka Heights, Clearview.
I went around in the day to do a bit of report for the track renewals, and I kept looking. I went in to look at the different points on that, and I discovered lots of routes through.
Yeah, I didn't even know they were there.
Each road takes you through. There's a connection through, which is excellent.
There's about 4.
There's at least, and then there's one up in Clearview as well, which I think.
Anyway.
All right. I guess the thing is what I wanted to tell you, that work will take place and it's going to be kind of on the back of this other work. So it'll be it's planned. It's just going to, when it happens, it'll be.
And that bit that they've done on the other side of Albury Road, where they've just done the concrete down off the path, is really good, because that makes it much safer for people leaving.
Sorry, what are you talking about?
The Universal Heights coming down to where it hits Albury Road.
Yeah, where the Sker Heights track
Oh,
runs from Domini Park, runs on to Albury Road. They've just done a cement access way through the bollards there, and that's a great improvement.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who initiated that. It must be. I mean, as in.
It was through Big Liquid.
Yeah,
Through
okay,
Big
through
Liquid.
one
The biggest
group.
problem was basically it was pushing a whole lot of rubble down onto the footpath, across the cycle road, and then onto the slope because of the slope that was coming down. It was just a simple thing that just didn't.
And hopefully they do that on the other side where the height strip goes up too, because it'd be.
No, I was doing that. The one thing I was the Gladstone Track bridge upgrade. What I mentioned before about we were across the district. This bridge upgrade is tied in with a number of other bridge upgrades. There's a couple of narrow towns, so they're going out for tender, and so we're looking at a sort of a late 2026 installation replacement on that. So that's like mine.
What's happening with the old bridge? What do we decide to do with it?
I don't think we've had that discussion yet.
I think it's sort of.
Do you guys want to be?
It sort of has to be off the back at least to the track struts because it was given to them. So, and then we can decide.
What can add into my list of bridges?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you've already got enough bridges. If
I've got there's room for another one there if necessary. For storage.
Yeah, and I know the next item I put down for the next about probably you guys know about this, but Nina wanted me to give this bit of profile and talk about it. You know, we've got this we had 130. I wasn't around this weekend, but it sounds like there was a really good turnout for that.
It was actually.
Who went to that? Actually, an interest one.
I turned up and then.
Was it this week? No,
The one that you went
the one you went to.
Yeah.
Are we going to do some more? Are we going to do that because when we planted there, it was it was significant, but it was still just one part of that area. Is there going to be other planting days up there?
Probably most likely.
Yes, I think there's a plan over a few years to replace those trees. So it is a long-term plan.
I think he's talking about planting days.
I think there was a plan. There was 4,000 plants going in, and we put 1,000 in. So there's going to have to be at least 3 more days.
So can I go back to Nina and say you guys are already signing up?
Oh, it was great. It was awesome. It was good. It was good. The best thing that happened is the holes had already been dug.
Yes.
So,
right.
No, because you go along to these planting days and then people don't dig holes deep enough, or it just people sort of choose where they put it. So the fact that it made it really efficient, and it meant that those trees have got the biggest chance of success because kids can sometimes go in and dig that much when you're really needing it to do that much. So, and there was an education process right at the start. I thought it was the best run planting day I've been to out of many. And I think it gives the plants the highest chance of success because they've been planted so long.
It's a really successful one.
We'll pass it on to Nina. Should be really
successful one. We took out on the Awe River track that did up on the last weekend as well. So how many plants have put into that?
I think about 160 went in there from.
Yeah, it's great. So calculate punching.
Just I thought we'd just talk a little bit about some other projects that are going on. So you guys are probably aware of that succession plan, Bailey Point that we signed off a couple of years ago. So we actually have moved on that because a lot of we often get feedback, council signs off something and then doesn't. So we're actually underway on that. So we've done planting and done some removals. If you go around the track down the bottom, you'll see some of those removals there. It's
I was really impressed near the boat ramp. It's opened up that area so much.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's very good.
So something just, if Cody was here, might be interested in this. So there's a Peter Fraser Park, which is the park next to Lake Harvey Community Centre. Often people get the names. So that's due for renewal and we're going to replacement. So the team have been working with LHCC, Lake Harvey Community Centre, and the Harvey Community Association, which are different, working with both of them. And just the other day, those guys said we're happy with the plan, and so we're now into the delivery element, planning for the delivery. So,
is it targeting? What age group is it targeting?
It's just the young kids.
Okay,
young kids. In terms of time frame, I don't think we've locked that down yet, but we're just talking we met with LHCC today and just we generally catch up. I think they want us to avoid the Christmas period and probably be out around March or April or something like that, because they have lots of people come up there during the period. So that's just something that documents. Well, I might talk about Lismore Park toilets. I love a good conversation about toilets. So yeah.
So the location is just, we are proposing just opposite the high school. So we're just in conversations with them. They've got some concerns about just the crime prevention and social behaviour. So we're just working through that with them. But we're looking to install a 2-pan toilet just opposite there facing the road. So
Just say I don't understand that. I don't.
Just
The
opposite.
toilet location,
just opposite the school, where the Pools to School route cuts through, that was that's where the services are. It's quite constrained, Lismore Park.
Yeah.
We would have liked to have put them more further down by the water tank, but the services, there's no services around the area. It's quite a long way and would be unfeasible to connect in there. So the most feasible location is just opposite the school, where there's parking and accessibility on at the end of the trees, like the Douglas fir trees there.
I don't. I'd have to say I don't support
the having toilets or
that
like
location.
the location.
I think if you have them at the bike park or maybe at the bottom where the frisbee
Little
golf,
Street. Yeah, Beaumont.
maybe, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I just don't think. Yeah, I mean, toilets in the wrong spot are worse than not having them, I think. And we did one down near the Gun Road one time. We were sort of forced to do it near the corner rather than put at the corner of Gun Road rather than Ellison Ave, rather than put them where we really wanted them, which was down near the car park at the end or something. And I don't think they're very well used, and I don't think they're.
Who you consult, because obviously this is a big change from that, because it was originally let's get them up by
Right.
water tank, and then the next conversation was let's put them down sort of where Little Street was coming up,
Yeah.
somewhere on that side, because there's lots of kids walking that sort of thing. Then all of a sudden we hear that it's in a quite a different part.
Yeah, so unfortunately, both those locations, there's no services and we can't actually feasibly put them there. So the other 2 locations were opposite the school or down at the other end where the frisbee golf is. But then in terms of sightlines, etc., we thought it would be better to have it across from the school, so not affecting any houses in that location. We thought as well, we've had quite a few RFSs of just facilities in general in Lismore Park, and so that's where it was most feasible with services.
So where the 2 pathways, when you come straight out of Mac and go across the road, there's that pathway, and then there's the other pathway that comes. Are you saying it's in that triangle?
Yes, where the path, just beside the pathway at this end of Mac.
Because we were going to put an outdoor learning. I mean, we did a
Yes,
management plan.
where the
Yeah, so-
parkour is planned.
Right.
Where there was in the development plan, it was sort of a
So that's not really in line with the development plan, is
No.
it?
no, it has moved.
But I really would push back against that, and I think it would
I guess
be.
it comes down to who's going to use it.
Well,
And
exactly.
there's pressure from the bike park, obviously. And the school kids, one would assume that they'll go before they leave school.
Well, I can tell you a story about that.
So can I.
Yeah. They lock the toilets most of the day. Kids can't go in them. So it's a
So,
bad story.
And the first thing.
I don't know, we look at, where are the toilets around the area? I'm thinking about general people just walking around, older ladies who might like to, kids, people who might get, suddenly desperate. And if you're a local and you know where the toilets, I'm just, in terms of distribution, is it in a sensible spot filling a gap?
Yes, it is filling a gap in terms of the closest down at the marina, and then there's ones further back in Donomy Park. Yeah, and then so it's sort of a gap. I mean, there is at the high school. There's some ones that are open to the public on the sports field apparently. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if there's other thoughts, but I just feel really uncomfortable about that, not the least of which you've sort of said the management issues of, whether it's drug dealing or whatever it is that you could easily create inadvertently.
I guess what Brian is pointing out is limitations on infrastructure.
I get that. It doesn't, I get that, but I don't think it warrants putting it in the wrong spot.
Did you say there was feedback from school?
They just got a board meeting, I think, in this week, and they're going to write to us. We met with the principal, and then she's taken the proposal back to the board, and she was going to write a letter to us. So we're just waiting to receive that, and then we can have a look at.
Just don't know who the users are you're targeting.
But we thought it's quite close to the bike park, and that's sort of the users that we were targeting, because it's still at the end.
It's no closer than Domini Park or.
Yeah, but let's face it, Domini Park isn't on your mind.
No,
I
I don't think the kids are going to paint the bushes.
In the network onto it, I think Lismore Park is a missing is a missing location. When it's visible from the road, I see a number of people, career drivers and stuff like that, use Kelly Flat because it's an easy park there and you can do it. So I can see access to that road making sense, and it's quite a well traversed road. So you get that. The park users, you're getting Frisbee Golf coming, park it, past that, it's on schools to Paul route. It's probably close enough and almost visible enough from the bike park that someone who really needed to go would bike down there and come back up. So I'm a little bit different. And then if it's constrained by it's either there or nothing, I think I'm erring on the side of actually there. But can we just get the feedback from the school? So I get a different opinion. Feedback from the school, but just on a map and say, because I'm just trying to conceptualize, because that was a very beautiful spot there that we thought where it's one of the few places that's got some tree stuff. It was always going to be a Wānaka. It was always going to be an outdoor learning thing there. We're talking about that experiential music playground. It was going to be there at one spot. That was what. Then we're going to plonk a toilet block there.
I think I need to share it with your map, because the toilet block's going on the other side, and there's still that open area where we would have the.
So it's on the other side of the park.
So if I.
It's between the little hill, the mound, and.
There's a wee flat area just off the road to the left.
I think I know what you're talking about. Okay. So that does. I think we need to.
Yeah, we'll give you
with the feedback, and then
Just one more comment though, is that I think, remember, we've got to view this in the context of where we need toilets, not just in the context. And I think if we to prioritise things, I mean, I think I can think of two others absolutely just off, but there'll be plenty more, and that are high priorities, being Campbell Road and Stony Creek.
So Campbell Road is the next one. We are installing one there. So and Lismore came up, and we did a gap analysis in terms of rating Lismore Park, and that was one of the highest, but Camp Hill was as well. And so we are installing, because of our lack of services at Camp Hill, we're replacing the portaloo that's currently there with the dry bulb, so that will be permanent.
It's on the other side.
Yes, on the car park side where the road reserve.
Yeah, on the side.
Yes,
on the east side.
yes,
Yeah, which I support.
yes.
Let's get that and share it, and we'll just and we can go into constituents.
We'll share it after we get the feedback from the school. Okay, and like we just had that conversation about Campbell Tour, that's going to be dry vol, so late 2026. Brendan just mentioned, I thought I'd have a quick discussion about this one. This pops its head up from time to time, and I think it probably a discussion that ends up with councillors from time to time and board members. So just talk about the Logan tennis courts and what's happening there.
Yes, so the developer is working through the detailed design at the moment, and they're looking to construct the tennis courts within the reserve in Luggett with reserve contributions. So we're sort of at the developer's timeline where we're constrained by that. We're not too sure when that is exactly yet.
Is that still up the reserve up to Lake Guy one?
Yeah, the Lake Pie.
Courts.
One with a half court.
With a volleyball half court.
More basketball. The half court.
There's a 1.5.
Yeah.
Okay, just pop back to the Campbell toilet area.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Just for FYI, the track upgrade on that section of the track between Campbell Road and Albertown is planned to start probably in September. So there might be some gravel stockpiling in that car park.
Okay.
That's there at the moment, and we've been working with roading because it is a road, so we understand where that is and the location of the new.
Okay, but there will be some work, and they'll be accessing from that area.
And the upper area of the track will probably open in
And the other track would be
Yeah,
October, September as well. The true
Finishes
light.
around the old toilet where the existing kayak toilet is. That finishes there, will be an opening. So
Okay, so we just need to make sure we'll just keep that in mind. And
Yeah.
Then I,
So the unlugged tennis courts.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, unlugged tennis courts. So where where in the reserve then? Like where in relation to Whare Mahana?
So this is in the Lake Mackay, the new subdivision with the
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Okay, sorry.
It's on Murray Frost's.
Murray Frost and the other, just
Yeah.
sort of at the back of the campground and cricket, that it sort of connects up to that reserve. You can link in from.
Do you know the sort of?
King and Road. If you go up King and Road,
How about we send you?
No,
which
I
is-
don't know. So it doesn't matter. You don't need to place me there. That's fine. You've answered my question. Thank you.
Because they're getting tennis courts and coffee things and it's all upmarket, apparently we have to now refer it to Legate. As Legate.
We need the accent on the
We
E.
do, because it's very European and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Been Lugate for ages.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like
Years.
20 years ago.
I thought that was-
Lugate.
well-
A la Violet Bouchamp, you know, the
This is
UK.
bucket.
Yeah, this is bucket. So anyway, that's all I was saying.
And the people in
I mean, I-
here.
And once again, look, I'm not, it's been down a bit of a road this, but I still don't think this is the right location. It's just a location that's evolved because there's a developer who's doing it. Now, I still think fundamentally we've got a growing community, we've got a changing community in Luggett, and I really want us to look and review the use of the Luggett sports field, the campground, because it's got Luggett sports field, because it's got an exclusive lease to the cricket club, which is an incredibly unusual thing. We've got really badly managed permanent camping on a public reserve in the middle of our community, which stops people from using it. I think we fundamentally need to change that. We need to make it usable for the community and safe for the community.
So, just to let you know, we've had a bit of an internal discussion about that very topic, you know, and so haven't quite decided what we're going to do, but we'll probably need to come back and have a discussion about that very thing, probably a specific discussion.
You know what the Luggett people think about it?
Well, it depends on who they are, because there's some old school people, including who's our mate down there, Rod Anderson, who is a life member of the Albion Cricket Club, who has a different view than what the new residents of Luggett might have. But I can assure you that there's lots of parents there who don't feel safe sending their kids to play down in the Luggett Reserve with the current residents of that reserve. So, but look, I think it's mad that the reason they operate as camp, so they can manage the field. Now, every other field in the district council manage, so and you know, mow it and look after it for the benefit of the community. This is an isolated and unique situation that's no longer tenable.
Okay. Yeah, no.
And they used to just operate there. Now they operate on Peter Frank Park, and they want, you know, to be out at the Valentine Road, and they want to be
Who's they?
the cricket club. So yeah, Albion Cricket Club. So the context has changed as well.
Well, it's on your radar, and you will reflect on that, and then it'll be an agenda item for a workshop or a.
Much further down the next. That particular thing is probably part of a bigger discussion as well. So don't want to delve into that today because we're not prepared for that. Good point. Then I thought I'd just add in a couple of FYIs, because you mentioned it before. Sometimes there's conversations going on, and it's just good to be connected. Remember last year we did the kayak work? No, trying to
On the lakefront.
so we'll probably get some annual messaging going out around that later on this year. Just to FYI to you guys, when we did that work over here, it actually triggered quite a lot of requests around the district. You know, Lake Hayes, Frankton, and so forth. So same issue, lots of kayaks left there. Community, we could do a bit of a clean up, and then when you do ask them to clean up, everyone says this is over have been too enforcement, too overly hard on us here. So quite a complex thing.
I just think this might predate my involvement. That's all. So I was just going to ask more about what is it a cleanup thing? It's like, it's get rid of your kayaks.
Yeah. So I'll probably would that happen before?
Probably, yeah, previous
Sorry,
committee.
the timelines out there. So, yeah, real simple thing is we had a lot of requests to remove kayaks over an Edgewater area initially.
Wasn't it all boats though? Sailboats as well?
Yeah,
There's
when I say kayaks, I mean watercraft, kayaks, things. There was a boat over there with a tree growing up through the middle of it. So it's been there quite a number of years. We did that little bit of work over there, and then we had requests for it down here and that was really probably pushed along because there's a lot of planting work happening and wanting to happen. And so we actually put some messaging out. It was pretty controversial in the community because they thought we were being overly hard on that. Stopping
I said to you at the time that the notices that were put there were quite blunt. The notices that were put on some watercraft were quite blunt.
Yeah, I thought a lot about that, and I guess there were some people that said it was good that you're doing that, and then there was people that said you're being blunt. So I think it depended on where you sat, what side of the fence, you know.
And it was the misinformation was that, of course, we're going to take all of them and sell them and make money.
Yeah, there was a lot there that they were going to be taken. We were revenue gathering, you know.
That was successful, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so we've had,
I was just going to say,
we've had good success. We had good success. We had a bit of a clean up.
it's been really good. Much
for the
better,
story.
it's much better at Edgewater. It's a lot better over here, but there has been quite a few creep backs. So I think the refresher is useful. If
Yeah, so the person is just to revisit that messaging and get that.
Okay. So what is the policy about? I mean, basically nobody's private boats should be anywhere along the lakefront,
On
or
reserve land, no, they can't keep.
so is there any? I mean, I know
The
this-
trouble down there is a little bit of this technical sense. There's a bit of Lynn's land down there.
I think there's a bit of the point was that let's get rid of the abandoned, unused
so
stuff.
yeah. I guess what I'm trying to
And
test.
there's a certain amount of tolerance to the stuff that's actively used.
Yeah.
Is all I'm,
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand. Is there generally a bit of a flex?
there's a bit of give and take around some of that stuff, but
Yeah,
stuff
but
that's
it's the
just
abandoned
these
stuff.
historic people there and just
Yeah.
it's just there because everyone's forgotten about it.
Yeah.
It's been-
Yeah, so if I was to be really strict, the rules, you're not meant to leave anything there, okay? But we try and be pragmatic because, somebody takes it down there for the holidays, does a couple of days of kayaking and then takes it with it. No one wants to be too onerous on that. But what was happening is I'd leave it there and I'd say, oh, that'd be good there, and I'll just leave it down there for the next 5 years.
Yeah. I
And
understand.
then what happened is then they didn't pick up the kayak and it just grew.
Cool.
Let's get moving. We've got about another 5 minutes before we break.
Yeah. So just I think it's one of just to let you know we've been in touch with Te Kakano. It's probably interesting. We've given them a couple of locations. It's sitting all in their court. Okay. They come back to us, start testing whether it's actually feasible. There's a couple of things going on. They're talking to external group about locations about use of their facilities in conjunction with the site they were given. Yeah. So.
What's the main site that you've? What's the site? Which site?
Yes, I mentioned it. So the site that was just down by the cemetery, just off the Wānaka cemetery down the bank by the squash court. There's an area there, so we're just exploring that area there.
So let me.
Oh, sorry, just one more.
No, it's all right, go
I think there were two.
Yeah, the other site was there's a site around Cameron Creek, back of down by the Hook area. Down there, there's some land coming into council's hand, but a number of years away, and so there was a potential discussion there. But they've chosen their site up there for their reasons.
So when you say they're looking, is this space for their operations?
Yeah,
The nursery.
For
their lease is about to expire in I think a couple of years.
So my question is, how does their request for space, how is it fitting into the bigger picture? Because there's so much conversation about managing those requests, and Simon, Patrick and team are promising this form that's going to come out in August that is meant to be the front door.
Oh, that's the big question.
So I guess my question then is, so am I hearing, as I hear about some other groups who they're going like this, they're not going through the front door. And I guess I'm asking, did Te Kakano go to the front door, or is this been a conversation?
They'll have to start like any other group. And
But
then
is that you, okay, but is it with you in the parks team, or is that in relation to, is that actually
probably
going,
more with us with the parks team. Sorry.
because that's exactly the sort of thing that the overall process is meant to avoid. Not to say they're not going to get space necessarily.
It's a different to Kakano though, that don't really need a building as such.
It doesn't matter because some groups are in the same position.
Just land,
It's a use of council land. I mean, this is the, I guess I'm just trying to drop
I
back
think
to
we're trying to get to that pathway, but at the moment there isn't that pathway which has been formalised. So people are coming in different ways, but we will then be putting that in place. Yeah.
So I guess what I'm wary of is that, yes, I'm really well aware that that pathway isn't there because we've been demanding it for a long time. But if people are successful at actually getting an answer that says, yes, you can have that space, and it happens through this route, then we have very little chance of success at actually formalizing the pathway. If these, you're where I'm coming from.
I think if I can sort of answer, I guess the thing is we're putting in place a better system for, weighing up who should get what where. But in the meantime, there are people with urgent needs that need to be dealt with that I guess my view would be disadvantaged by having to wait because their need is so urgent.
But
So I guess there's a business as usual process at the same time in managing that awkwardness in between because some will have those urgent needs. I can totally understand where you're coming from. I think there's a view that Te Kakano is a strategic partner that helps us to achieve our goals and directly in terms of what we're doing through the climate vote. But I understand
but there, I guess
I also add there's a formal process of the Reserves Act in terms of if this does progress, we will have to move through that formal process. It's not that this would just be, so there is that process for them to go through as well.
Yeah, I guess we get back to the basic problem because there'll be other groups. I mean, I have had other groups argue that exact thing. This is urgent, and they're still getting told. So I am simply pointing out because this is the first I'm hearing about Te Kakano the base, and I'm trying to keep across this big picture thing on behalf of the board. And I guess it just always concerns me when I keep hearing about these sidetracked. Which are
they've been talking to us for 2 years about this. It has been a long time. Yeah.
No, so the other thing too.
We've been talking to council for a very long time.
So your point I take, and I don't have an answer. So it depends on how we haven't got a process, okay, and they've approached us and we've dealt with them and we've looked to try and find a solution because they've got some urgency around it. Their lease is about to expire in 18 months or something like that. There might be a similar conversation elsewhere. I get that, yeah. The site does have some limitations that won't be suitable for other groups. It's a cemetery site. They can't build permanent buildings. They can't. It's got some limitations on the term.
Just sort of it reminds me. It's just that everyone needs to be talking to each other because it's this is.
Okay, I'm going to draw this one to a close. Yeah, the process isn't in place yet, so you've done what you can to be pragmatic in that. As soon as that process is in place, we all have to have the discipline to say this is now the process. And once we do that, and people share success, behaviour will change, and we'll go through that. But until the day that form is, whatever it's launched, we need to address needs.
And there's multiple conversations there. Thank you. This one just mentioned. I'm going to catch up with John, Dave Lindsay, Dave Howell talked about a relationship with UCTT. It's something that I want to work on the next couple of years, sort of build on that. So we've had a bit of initial conversation and we'll work on that going forward. That's awesome. So yeah. This other thing I thought I'd meet with the Snowflake. I remember a couple of years ago with it in the LTP, some of you will be aware of this. There was a lot of requests around the toilets and we've addressed that, we've worked with them that. It's been a really good outcome up there. I met with a guy called Peter Soundies up in the Snow Farm, and they wanting to put in, they actually asked us to put together a reserve management plan. So they actually requested them. So we'll probably from our perspective, it's not super urgent, but we'll put it on the work list.
What was their driver behind that?
I think probably to, I'm not 100% sure, maybe just to give a bit more clarity about the reserve and its priority and the council's funding and that sort of thing. They've got some work they want to do up there, so they've got a little bit of a solar power project they're working on at the moment. So we're just helping them on that. So I think it's maybe that was around that, maybe I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
I think we probably just need to think strategically about that because what is going to best serve us in decision making around, because if, they, being a reserve, they've got a lease, but they have to come to us as a landowner for permission to do stuff. So now that's not super complicated, but get that it gives them some uncertainty around
what they can come.
what they can come to. So I get that. So I wonder whether if a management plan is the right case here, or whether some sort of agreed development plan might be more appropriate. So if they've got a strategic plan for 10 or 15 years or whatever that we can endorse, and then things that are within the scope of that are.
I don't think we've said on it. I don't think that was just that was the request they suggested it. We've said, yeah, we'll think about it.
I just really, given that we've already got a lease over this site, I just don't think a management plan is going to serve us very effectively.
We're going to move on. You've taken that as an idea to manage that.
Not to add into that, I was just going to say there's one thing I'd like to ask a question on about Cadrona in the trail in the mix, if that's okay.
After we've done Emoto, you think like Emoto campaign.
Yeah, just that you would know that there's a bit of an Emoto campaign on the trails and that thing. One thing I want to mention is so this was actually initiated by some community groups, the Queenstown Trails and some principals in Queenstown, and then they kicked it off and we supported it and then we rolled it out to the district. That's why it's got a initiation from Wānaka. Not really led by us, it's led by the community. So that's the thing. And the other thing I just want to mention, we've got a cemeteries master plan going to go out shortly for tender dates, but within there's a bit of work around natural burials. And I was just talking to Tarsi yesterday. What we're thinking is that Wānaka cemetery is probably not suitable for that. We've got effects on neighbours and that, so we're thinking around it probably more focused around the Harley cemetery. So there's a lot of tree planting involved with that. So when they start to grow, they affect your neighbours. Excellent. Yeah. And that was it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Mine is just around the Cadrona community's request for a trail. So from the township through the distillery, and the Trails Trust is involved. But I'm just wanting to ask a question off the back of what the hearing panel determined. So, which was that there was agreement that the parks team be directed to work alongside the group to determine the proposed trail alignment with existing projects with possible inclusion in the long-term plan. Now, this is just lost inside the hearing panel. So I wanted to kind of lift it up and ask, are you aware of it?
Were you aware of it?
Not council.
Is it through the reserves? Is it through the reserves?
So yeah, it's I don't know. You're starting from the Queenstown end down by John will give you a much better.
Goes into the distillery. Well, I think what you're talking about is what you're asking us, were we aware of it? Because that's in the.
Are you aware of what the hearing panel requested? So this made it through. There was discussion on it in the LTP process. The hearing panel, as in all the councillors, and this made it into one of the documents on the council.
And you're asking whether we're aware of it.
Are you aware that we've effectively agreed that the parks team be directed to work alongside the group, being, I guess, the Residents and Ratepayers Association, to progress this towards the LTP, because the community believes it's in there.
I guess what I'm saying.
It's not funded yet. But
I
might do some work for possible inclusion in the long-term plan.
It's not really a council project. I mean, John will speak to.
It's a community project in that they requested it be considered as part of the annual plan and long-term plan. It would be mostly on either legal road or marginal strip. Legal road would be council controlled, marginal strip would be dock. It connects to what's going to be the reserve at the southern end of. But certainly it was community led. The Tracks Trust is certainly assisting with the planning of it. But that's probably where they are. But there'll be additional funding, and that might be a case of whether there's any council funding towards it, possibly.
Yeah, so this is what I'm like, is that there is a direction in there from the full council. So I just wanted to raise it in this forum so that the community board, if they choose to, don't take direction from me. I've got my councillor hat on, but if the community board's minded to push it, I just don't want my groups to be left out of the mix. And Cadrona could be.
Thanks for sharing. I wasn't aware of that. We're wording.
Yeah, I'm not expecting you to have done it. I'm raising it so that it doesn't get lost.
I support the trail. I just don't know what you're asking of staff, because it's not on council, mostly not on council land. So we don't usually run projects on other people's land. So I'm not quite sure what you're asking of staff.
I think maybe you're Yeah, I guess there's not council, there wouldn't be council planning in it. It may be something that needs to be factored into for funding potentially, or partial funding. It may be a case of a community funding project application.
It's really important.
Yeah, we don't usually park trails on third party land either. As council, we focus on council.
Well, not necessarily, because there was a council funding towards the upgrade of the Harwea River track from the dock section.
Thank you.
So there has been funding for tracks that isn't wholly on council land previously.
And if I can add,
But I do hear what you're saying.
suggesting direction there, but to the community board, you know, as we talked about earlier, community funding is paid for by everybody across the district, and Cardrona residents and ratepayers also pay for that, and they deserve trails just like everywhere else. We've got two distinct communities that need to be linked with active travel, and this board is hot on active travel. So let's not find ways not to do it. If there would be my request. Let's find ways to do it, find what we can do, not what we can't do.
It's on the radar. That's really even this just even having this conversation again is really helpful.
Perfect.
Just to on the radar. Katie?
I wondered if any requests had come through about the Cameron Creek track and any flooding.
I've just been out today.
Oh, okay.
and I've
Well, we
just
can talk about it offline. I just didn't know if it was
notes for the
part-
past to look at.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right, then that's fine. I'll sit in on that little photo.
Down by Hocking.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's fine.
Because that's on the Albert Town, you know, you talk about
Heather-
current stuff. This is
Heather
on the Albert
approached
Town.
me about it, but on the Tracks Trust Act, not
Yeah.
council.
So it offline 5+2. Is there anything urgent that we need to?
The performing arts people are talking to the council about, including council officers, library, and a community-based building of some sort. He's talking about.
Great, but that's not parks, but.
No, that's where they did
So
it.
they're waiting for the end, it's on reserve land. Okay.
Well,
Well,
but yes.
Thank you very much.
That's
We got
awesome.
a really big workload. I'm conscious there's a lot of by the end of 26, by the end of 26. So just, yeah, I hopefully you just recognise that. We're really looking forward to you coming back with both the duty in a couple of months' time, coming back with the stage 6 concept plan. That's going to be really exciting. And then coming back after the schools, come back to your feedback on this more. And those are the three things I took away. Keep up the great work.
All right, thanks, guys.
Right, close the workshop now. Kelly, you'd like to move into the hui? Shall we have a break for 2 minutes?
Sure.
Let's go back at 10 past. So we'll get up through this time.
Oh, yeah, I think it's the same as this one.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Oh.
We're not there today.